Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are talking about one of the biggest, most common traps in all of decision-making. I mean, it's a mistake we all make. But the good news is, I'm going to show you a really simple, super powerful way to beat it. So let's just start with this question, because it's one we all face, right? How likely is your new project to succeed? I mean, think about it. You're launching a new product, maybe you're starting a new fitness plan, or you're even thinking about a career change. You have to make a guess about what's going to happen. But how do you actually do that? Well, if you're like most of us, your first instinct is just pure optimism. You think, I'm sure this will be a wild success. This time is different. We get hyper-focused on our passion, our unique skills, all the reasons our situation is special, totally different from anyone who's tried and failed before us. And look, that gut feeling? It's powerful, for sure, but it's also incredibly dangerous. Right. So this way of thinking, this gut feeling approach, it actually has a name. It's called the inside view. And the thing is, while it feels totally natural, it's a massive cognitive trap that causes us to make some seriously flawed predictions over and over again. So what is the inside view exactly? Well, you can think of it like this. It's when we zoom all the way in on a problem. We're building a story, a forecast, but it's based only on the specific, unique details right in front of our face. We're focused on our plan, our team, our feelings about the whole thing. And here's the crazy part. Our brains are basically wired for this. We get trapped so easily. We're naturally optimistic, for one. We also have this thing called the illusion of control, where we think we can influence stuff that's, well, totally random. And of course, our ego gets in the way, whispering that, we're smarter than the last guy who tried this. We actually hunt for what makes us different, because it feels like a smarter way to think. Okay, but what if I told you that the best forecasters, the people who are right way more often, do the exact opposite? They've learned to ignore that initial gut feeling and start somewhere completely different. And this, my friends, is the power of the outside view. And this slide really gets to the core of it. The inside view, remember, focuses on what's different. It zooms in on your unique story. But the outside view, it zooms out. It focuses on what's the same. It asks a much simpler but way more powerful question. Hey, what happened when other people tried to do this exact same thing? It completely shifts our focus from our own subjective, intuitive feelings to cold, hard, objective reality. So how do you do this? Well, the first step is to find something called a reference class. And don't worry, it's just a fancy term for a simple idea, a comparison group. So if you're opening a new restaurant, your reference class is, you guessed it, other new restaurants in your city. If you're writing a book, it's other first-time novels in that same genre. Simple as that. Okay, so once you have your group, your reference class, you look for the base rate. And this right here is the absolute key. The base rate is just the statistical average. It's the data. What percentage of those new restaurants actually survived their first year? How many of those debut novels sold more than, say, 5,000 copies? This number, this is your anchor. This is what keeps you grounded in reality. All right, let's put this into practice. I want to make this crystal clear with a real-world example, one that a lot of us can probably relate to these days, starting a brand new streaming channel. Now, if we're using the inside view, what's our prediction going to look like? Well, you're all fired up, you're fueled by your passion, your awesome, unique idea, your editing skills are on point. You think, yeah, I have an 80% chance of hitting 1,000 subscribers in just 6 months. And it feels totally reasonable, right? I mean, it's your story. You're the hero. But what happens when we use the outside view? Let's step outside of our own personal story for a second. Let's hit pause on our feelings and just look at the data. What usually happens? Well, the base rate is pretty sobering. Turns out, the data shows that on a major platform, only about 9% of all channels ever reach 1,000 subscribers. Not in 6 months, ever. And just look at that. That is the massive gap, the chasm between our optimistic inside view guess and the cold, hard reality of the outside view. Our gut screams 80%, but the actual data, the base rate for our reference class, is just 9%. This is why the outside view is so powerful. It's like a shield that protects us from our own overly optimistic brain. So how do we actually combine these two? This is where it gets really practical. You start with the outside view data as your anchor, so a 9% chance of success, and hey, the average time it takes is 22 months. Then, after you've anchored yourself in reality, you bring in your inside view. Maybe you are an amazing video editor and your topic is super niche and well-researched. Okay, fine. That justifies and this is the key word, a modest adjustment. So maybe you bump your forecast up to a 15% chance and you aim for 18 months. See? It's still ambitious, but now it's a forecast that's grounded in reality, not just wishful thinking.
Okay, so this is all great, but how can you actually use this for yourself? Because this isn't just some abstract theory, it's a super practical tool you can use for your very next project. And it really just boils down to 4 simple steps.
Here's the playbook. Step 1, select a reference class, find a good comparison group, and be really honest and specific about it. Step 2, assess the outcomes. Go find the data. What's the base rate of success and failure? Step 3, and this is the most important part, make your first prediction using only that base rate. Start there, not with your gut. And then finally, step 4, fine-tune it. Now you can consider your unique details, your inside view, and make a small, modest adjustment up or down.
You know, at the end of the day, this is more than just a little 4-step technique. It's a fundamental shift in your mindset. It's a totally new way to think about the future. The legendary investor Charlie Munger, he really nailed it. He said, if you notice, the plots are very similar. The same plot comes back time after time. I mean, we love to think our story is this brand new, original blockbuster movie, right? But most of the time, we're just acting out a story, a plot that's been told 1,000 times before. So if there's one main lesson to walk away with, it's this. We overvalue what's different, and we totally undervalue what's the same. Your situation, it might feel completely unique, but it's probably not. The same things that determine success or failure for everyone else in your reference class, yeah, those are probably the same things that are going to determine your outcome too. Focusing on what's the same is how you get closer to the truth. So for your next big decision, your next project, I want to leave you with this one question. Before you launch into that long list of all the reasons why this time is different and why you're going to succeed, just stop and ask yourself one simple thing. What's the same? What happened to everyone else who tried this? If you start there, I promise you, you'll be miles ahead of almost everyone else.